Timeout, overtime, hot take, debate, penalty by so many yaps. We on the way, unapologetic opinions, guests checking in, so I share on my social. Merch going up, my brother, he going global. Ass hold it down for the ladies, they need their own show. But we right back with it. Timeout with Coach Kam, we shouldn't miss a minute. Yeah. But we right back with it. Timeout with Coach Kam, we shouldn't miss a minute. Yeah.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Timeout with Coach Kam. It's your boy Cam Chancellor, and I am excited to be back. It's been a long time, but hey, it's finally here. And what we're going to be doing, starting on Mondays, is a Cincinnati High School Football Weekly. I'll be reaching out to different coaches to come on and talk to me about 25, 30 minutes. Talk to you about your program. Talk to you about the upcoming season, and highlight possibly some players, some key players, coming up this season. So make sure you reach out to me. You can DM, inbox me, either on my page, Cam Chancellor, or Timeout with Coach Kam, on Facebook and as well on Twitter. Timeout with Cam. You can inbox that as well, and I'll reach out to you guys. I am happy to have Taylor High School with me tonight. Taylor High School football coach David Dransman. What's going on, Coach?
How's it going, Cam? Glad
Hey,
to be here. Thanks for having me.
nah, no problem, man. No problem. I'm glad that you're able to join us. Definitely looking forward to talk some Taylor football with you. I also have the quarterbacks coach, Joey Woods. What's going on, Coach Joey?
How you doing, sir? Appreciate you having us on.
Hey, no problem, no problem. All right, I'll get to it. Like I said, I'm not going to waste you Monday evening. I know y'all ready to relax. Um, but last year, unfortunately was didn't make it to the playoffs. Didn't have the record that you guys would like. But I look at the roster when I'm looking. All I see is freshman, sophomore, freshman, junior, sophomore, freshman. So you guys were really, really young. Um, what for you, Coach Dan? I'll start with you, Coach Dransman.
Mm-hmm.
What are you looking for, or maybe a position group that you're looking for to take that next step for you guys to maybe get back to where you were a couple years ago, where you're in the playoffs and you're trying to advance?
So a couple years ago, fall 2021, we had a great O line, D line down in the trenches. We were very senior heavy. After that season, we lost our entire starting O line, along with 2 tight ends and our top 6 defensive linemen. So that was a huge, huge hit to us last year. We did really well with our skill positions last year, expecting those guys to keep growing. But that big next step, that would be down in the trenches for us. Which, in any age of football, whether you're in youth, middle school, high school, college, pros, you better be able to own the trenches. So
Yep.
that's what we're really looking for.
Yep, absolutely. And it's kind of almost it's not forgotten about. Football guys know that you need trenches, offense and defense, to win. But you often get caught up in the skill positions, and I like to call them the cute positions. But man, those things don't operate without the offensive line working and the defensive line, creating pressure for those skill guys to make plays on defense as well. So definitely something I will be looking at, because I come to a few of your games. But in those trenches, you do have a special player that I feel like that was a freshman this year. He'll be a sophomore next year, and that's Mike Branch. Obviously, I've coached against him in AAU basketball, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm very familiar with him. Um, and maybe Coach Joy, you could talk about him. Can you kind of just speak on Mike and what he gives you on both the offensive line and defensive line?
Offensively, I'll speak on offensively and let Coach Dransman talk about defense. That's his forte. But offensively, last year being so young on the offensive line, he was really playing out of position when we threw him in a tackle. Ideally, Mike is a nightmare mismatch for a linebacker if we have him over at tight end, and so we're really looking, to move him over to that tight end spot this year. because his size that he has with the speed that he has and the physicality he has at that linebacker position, it adds an extra blocker, but it also adds an extra weapon to our offense if he's at that tight end spot. So, we'll see. He's multifunctional. So, I mean, if we need him online, we got him there. But ideally, would love to see him over at the tight end spot.
Now that would be interesting because I know we did. We faced him in Little League, and he was a tight end there, and he's definitely an athlete. Can go get the ball, can run with it as well. So that'll be interesting to see him there because I know like last year, kind of felt like he was a tackle out of necessity for you guys, and he's one of your bigger bodies, and he had to play tackle for you guys, and he did a very good job. But yeah, I'm definitely anxious to see him. That's another weapon for you guys in the passing game, along with another guy. Perfect segue to talk about. Here's Aaron McFarland, freshman wide receiver, finished second in the conference in the CHL in receiving. Before we get to him, talk about Mike on defense because I seen that he was also second in sacks in the CHL as well as a freshman. So that's putting up crazy numbers.
So just in general, we had our first inter squad last year, and coming off the field, Grant Booth, one of the best players on our team, phenomenal kid, inside linebacker for us. He's like, Coach D, Mike's one of the best leaders on this team. He just has a motor that doesn't stop. So that, along with his size, he's pretty quick off the line too. If we can really get to the finer details of him and really teach him to bend, get him a little bit more flexible, I mean, he's awesome already, and he has so much more room to grow. But he's going to work his butt off. He's never complained about anything, just like we talked about being on the O-line. He went in, he just wants to play, and he wants to win. But watching him play basketball, like you said, he's so athletic, the way that he moves for how big he is. He could be another huge piece for us on the offensive side of the ball and pulling him off the O-line. So great kid, just wants to work, just wants to do whatever he can to get better, and that doesn't matter any sport he's in either.
Yeah, like I said, he's definitely good in both for sure, and a handful to deal with. Sticking because we was on the kind of on the offensive side of the ball. Speaking of some of your younger guys, Aaron McFarland, like I said, second, in the league in receiving yards. Really special kid. I'll let you talk about him, Coach Joy, especially at receiver. What makes him special? What makes him be able to step out on the field as a freshman and be one of the top receivers in the conference? And what are some of the next steps that you possibly see from him? There's always room for growth. What do you see as far as growth going from freshman to sophomore year, as far as Aaron McFarland goes?
I think going back to when we first seen him, when we coached against him, you kids that you see at that age, you can tell they're different. From the time they step on the field, and we seen that. I followed him through middle school. Seeing some of his middle school stuff, it just carried over. And so when he came this year, he automatically is a difference maker when he's on the field. From his speed, he's very physical. If you go back, and it's not just his speed that he has, but he's a physical receiver. If you go back and look at his highlights, some of the blocks he makes, where he's drove guys out of bounds. He's drove guys through the end zone. I think one of the plays that sticks out of my mind was, his second game, we played Lawrenceburg, and he catches just a hitch, and he turns around, and the DB is on him, and he literally just grabs the DB and slings him off of him. The kid is very physical at that spot. One of the things that I think he does really well that you just can't teach is he doesn't show his hands when the ball is coming.
Late hands, as they say.
The ball is there, and the DB doesn't know it. Next thing you know, it's in his hands and he's gone. On a deep route, he does that by far better than any receiver I've seen in a long time around this area. It's just a natural gift that he has. He can be used on every spot on the field. I know that we've talked about using him in multiple spots, receiver, running back, even playing under center, but at the quarterback spot a few times, just to get some different looks. Growth-wise, the kid has a high ceiling. I don't think he's nowhere near his potential. So his off season is going to be really key. He is a multiple sport athlete, so track, basketball, football. So his off season is going to be key. Getting out there when we have QB drills, running some routes with the receivers, getting in the weight room. That's going to be the key to his growth. It's just keep building on what he did last year and just have a great off season.
Well, yeah, also like I said, yeah, he's a special kid, and and I was gonna ask that question. I don't want to ask too much, give away any secret sauce or anything like that. But I was gonna ask, I'm like, with his athletic ability and just to have the ball in his hands,
Mm-hmm.
will we see him move around some? And I didn't think you answered that answered that right there. Having him, perhaps maybe take some direct snaps and have him in the running back, as a running back position, getting carries as well. Because the next thing I was going to talk about, your leading rusher, is graduated, and that was Leland Jones royalty. I believe he had like a 380-yard game his the last game against Marymount. So leaves a void. Who are some players that may obviously your Aaron could take some carries, but
Mm-hmm.
who are some other ones that you can see stepping up and taking that role on being your lead back?
So we're looking at our second leading rusher last year was Brody Lehman. And we're looking at him as more maybe in like a fullback type area. He'll still get some carries, split some time. Actually, he has a younger cousin that'll be a sophomore, Easton Shrimp. He's had a great offseason. He sees the field really well. He'll be getting some carries in there. Looking at Aaron to get some. Obviously, as much as Aaron can take on, we want to let him explode and expand as much as possible. And then I could also see JT Rudisell doing anything from the slot or coming in the backfield just because of his athleticism and anything that he can do. And to be honest, we're going to push our quarterback to run some more. So it may not just be running back running the ball. It could be quarterback. It could be slots coming with jets. It just depends what is needed and what our guys can handle.
Gotcha. So it looks like there's going to be a plethora of weapons there at Taylor's disposal to use. Because like I said, they were very young, and I believe we said JT Rudisell, he'll be a senior this year, and he played a lot of downs for you guys last year as well. Now we got to talk about the quarterback. This is a guy that led the league in passing. Really gotten a lot better over the course of the past couple years, and now he's into his senior year. And I heard that he's going to be running the ball a bit more. Kind of just talk about, excuse me, Jackson McGowan, and and the steps that he's taken to get to be this quarterback, because he wasn't always this quarterback. He took hard work, being out there day after day after day, repetition. So talk about Jackson McGowan and what he brings to your team. Joy,
I think from a standpoint, that sticks out to me was when we came and Coach Dransman named me as the QB coach. One of the things I wanted to do was start working right away with the QBs. He was going into his sophomore year then. Our senior quarterback, Mark Snowden, great baseball player. So, during the off season, it was all baseball for him through the spring, through the summer. Jackson didn't miss a beat that first year as far as getting out there, getting better. One of the biggest things that we had to get better with him was his footwork, getting his drops faster, getting him better, in and out of the pocket, his escapes, etc. The kid's arm talent is off the chart. He's got a strong arm. He has a lot of velocity behind the ball when he throws it. So, he does have that at his disposal. He has gotten much better with his footwork. His footwork is quicker. He escapes the pocket pretty easily. Now it's just adding another dimension to his game, which is going to be the run game. When you got a quarterback in a high school football team that can run the ball, it doesn't have to be anything flashy or anything like that, but that can, get you a 4 or 5 yard gain here and there on a design run. It just adds more stress on the defense that they got to worry about. Okay, hey, is this QB going to take off? Is he not going to take off? So it does add another dimension. He works very hard. I've pushed him quite a bit. He's getting some schools looking at him. So I look for him to have a big senior year. He's still, we started back in February getting QBs together. He's not missed a beat there either. He's at every workout, just trying to get better each and every day. So I look for him in his senior year to be a good one for him.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like I said, I definitely look for him because he's a quarterback that definitely can repeat that performance of being the top of the league in the conference. And also, we were talking about a player that I feel like in that conference should be in the talks of, offensive player of the year type of player. I think he's that good. And, going into his senior year, like you say, he put in the work. I think he could definitely get there. Now, I looked at last year. Obviously, you had 3 non-conference games against Greenon, Lawrenceburg, Gamble. Are those your same 3 non-conference games this year, or did you switch it up any this year?
So we actually have Greenham was a 2-year contract. So we played them first 2 years I was here. And then we have Harrison at home week 1. We have Lawrenceburg at home week 2. And then we travel to Gamble week 3.
Okay.
So typically Lawrenceburg is going to be on the schedule pretty much no matter what between Taylor for the foreseeable future, probably week 2. Week 1 and week 3 kind of depend, but this year we got Harrison and Gamble.
All right, nice. So, looking like obviously it's super early, and I guess I could ask you both this question: what would a successful Taylor season look like in your eyes moving forward for this season?
We're always shooting to be undefeated. It doesn't matter what the schedule is we're playing. But to be honest, we just got to improve every single week that we strap it on. We've got to get back to the playoffs, and we're pushing. We got to win playoff games, especially to this point where we're expanding to 16 teams in the playoff. There's no excuse not to play people in the regular season, which is why we welcome playing Harrison, even though they're a Division II team. They're close to where we are, so why not play them? So if we can compete with them, it just helps us push on. We have Lawrenceburg week 2, which they're always really tough in Indiana. So obviously we want to shoot to be undefeated. Whether that happens or not, we'll kind of see. But our biggest goal is we just want to improve daily, get better every single day, every single week, and hopefully that carries us to the playoffs and see what we can do there.
Was there anything you want to add to that?
No, just echoing what he said. I mean, the goal, obviously, of any team is to go undefeated and win their conference. So that's obviously going to be everybody's goal. But, as he said, just improve each week, get back into the playoffs, win some playoff games. So, that's where we need to be.
Absolutely. And we have Keelan commented development. I love it, Coach. We got Clarence Nixon in the house. What's up? What's going on? Appreciate you for tuning in. We didn't touch much on the defensive side of the ball, and obviously I did want to touch on Grant Booth because he was kind of like the stud of that defense there. You kind of Mr. Do everything because I believe I was at the Gamble game. He got an interception there, and he was just kind of all over the place wrecking havoc. Are there any players that you expect to maybe take that Grant Booth role? I know we talked about Mike earlier to stepping up and being leader of that defense, but what about the linebacker spot? Someone that can fill that spot. Do we have any guys that's potentially next up and can take that leap and maybe not fill it all, because those are big shoes to fill, but to be able to play good football for you and keep it rolling.
That next guy right now is Brody Lehman. He was an outside linebacker for us last year. He's going to pop to the middle. He's had a great offseason so far, working really hard. The biggest thing will be him just making sure we get our reads and moving on. Losing Booth is really tough because he was like having another coach on the field. He understood everything we were doing, and he was bought into the whole process. He dropped a decent amount of weight and was running sideline to sideline last year. So I'm really hoping that Brody can help kind of fill that void. We had a couple injuries last year too that really hurt. Owen Drawn on the D line. If we can get him back, help us solidify that with Mike down there. Braxton Buffler, it looks like a really solid D line. JT Rudisell, he's also a great safety. He was a second team safety, second team DB, CHL as a sophomore, and he got hurt week 5 last year. So getting him on the back end, Grant Ferguson's back there. We got Aaron at corner. Stephen Kaufman's having a great offseason at corner. So there's a bunch of guys we're looking to step up. It's just, taking those next steps and just keep building.
Yep, absolutely. What you got anything to add on that?
No, I mean, defensive sides is that's Coach Dransman especially, so I'll let him run with that.
Gotcha. So you said there was so because I know you're moving you said Layman to the inside, right? So that leaves a spot because I know Leland played linebacker as well, right? Didn't he play some linebacker as well?
Yeah, so Leland played a little bit of linebacker, a little bit of safety, depending on what we needed. We're also losing Tony Core. He was a guy who slid to the inside last year and helped us out. So we got some other guys we're kind of looking at to help us either at inside or outside backer. DJ Handy came in, I believe, week 3 last year. He was a JV guy to start the year and then filled out the rest of the year great. He was an honorable mention CHL guy, and he'll be a junior this year. Let's see, we have Easton Shrimp, who'll be a sophomore, looking to potentially help at the linebacker spot. Ben Swaggard, he'll be a senior, looking either at D-line or linebacker, kind of wherever he fits in. So the good thing is we have guys competing to play, and it's not just we got to plug one guy in and see how it works. So anytime you can build off the competition and guys pushing each other, you're in a pretty good spot.
Absolutely. And this year there's a few rule changes, right? So you guys can start earlier. I'm hearing now with football, you guys can start a little bit.
Oh, yeah. So as far as the summer workouts, we can actually start May 15th. And then from my understanding, we have 13 practices we can hold. And then you can also have the last 5 acclimation before you get to our July 31st start date. So potentially 18 practices before football season starts.
That's huge.
So, I mean, it's a lot of teaching, a lot of stuff you can get through. Not that we're going to be grinding these guys down, but it comes down to so much learning, so many different things you can do, walkthroughs in the classroom that'll help these guys on the field rather than just beating them down through practices.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Eric Evans, what's up, Joy Woods? There, but yeah, man, this, football season, like I said, I'm removed from it now, but I like to sit back and watch, go to different games, and I know you guys are chomping at the bit, especially to right, to get it back to where it was, the previous year prior to last year, and getting back to the playoffs. I know you guys are ready, so but no, what I want to do is I want to thank you guys. I really do for coming on, being the first coaches and the first high school to come on and talk football with me and to discuss the upcoming year. So I thank you guys a lot. I thank you, Coach Dransman. I thank you, Coach Joy. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you, Cam.
If this goes big, I get royalties off of it, right? Because I gave you this idea to do.
I got you. I'll hook you up. I promise. Hey, but appreciate it. Make sure you catch us next Monday. We actually have Winton Woods. So that's a big one. We'll have head coach Chad Murphy on along with Keelan Woods, aka Coach Sosa. So excited for Winton Woods to be on next week. Appreciate Taylor High School for joining us this week. Until another Timeout with Coach Kam, we're out.